your zip code, your income, your skin color, the language you speak should not determine the quality of your care. And that brings me to, the next questions for you guys is really talk about community and defining community as to what it means for you all. And I think, we're going to go in reverse order, Bob. I know you just spoke, so we're going to hit you again and talk about community. And then we're going to go back and then we'll go to Pamela. So tell me what community means to you, especially in the context of this, talking about equity and
Yeah, and something, it's all about community, right? And when I think of personally, right, and what has given me the outlook that I have on life, if I didn't have the cystic fibrosis community early on and my son's diagnosis, I probably would have been curled up in the fetal position, depressed somewhere, or drowning my sorrows with alcohol or something. If I didn't have those people to help lift me up when I was down, I wouldn't be where I am today. So when you think of, to me, the community was folks from the cystic fibrosis community, folks from Boston Children's Hospital, the medical community, the scientific community, the philanthropic community, people like Joe O'Donnell, who lost his son to cystic fibrosis, that came to me and said, let's go raise money and invest in research so that your kid doesn't die like my kid did. So community to me is everybody taking care of each other. It's not about us doing better than them or this or that. It's about everyone, because we're only as good as that lowest common denominator. And going back to saying, when I was in elective office, what would drive me nuts would be to think that my kid could get better care than someone else's kid. Not cool, not good. So for me, it's about community, and it's about people taking care of each other, people caring about each other. It's about civility. Couldn't we use more of that in our world right now? Well, that's what community is all about. Community is a wonderful word. It's a powerful thing, and it's so important for all of us to do better together as a community.
Thanks, Bob. That's great, right? Community versus exclusion, right? We want to, kind of move towards that. So we go to Pamela Everhart, and in that same question, tell me about community and what community means to you.
Well, for me, because I focus a lot on the kids, that's the first place I go to, because I think going back when I grew up and being uncomfortable with finances, I didn't grow up where we were talking about stocks and bonds or even Bitcoin right around the dinner table. And I was a little hesitant when people would start talking about it. And actually, my first job, I was even afraid to invest in the 401k. Because I'm not sure what this is all about. I didn't understand saving versus investing. My mom, when we were kids, she was so good, like a lot of Black moms, they are the CFOs of their families. So they're really good about saving. They can make, a penny go a long way. But what she wasn't good was in investing, in helping her, making her money work for her. So my community has really been about seeking out underserved schools in the Boston area and making sure that those kids learn. And just one quick story. I was doing some financial literacy training at a school in Roxbury, Orchard Gardens. And there was a little boy by the name of Marlon, 12 years old, went through the program. And at the very end of the program, he says, "I'm so excited." And I said, "Why are you excited, Marlon?" He said, "My mom just got a job. The first time in my life that she's gotten a job." And I'm like, "That's great." And he said, "I took her down to the bank so she could open up a checking and a savings account," because she had never done that before. And then I told her, I said, "Mom, when you start on your job, the very first thing you need to do is ask about their 401k so that she could start saving." So for me, just these kids, getting them when they're young can make a difference in their families. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish.
That's fantastic. And I just want to add, my mom, as you point out, is definitely the CFO of the family. Me and my brother and my sister would always say, Mom would give you her last dollar. And that's true. But unfortunately, it really was her last dollar. And I think, we didn't learn, and that, we were lucky enough to, even when you're lucky enough to go get education, you didn't learn how to manage your money because my mother never knew and her mother never knew. And so I wish we had your class then, and I hope further generations will be able to take that. Heck, I might come in and drop in myself just to get some pointers.
You're welcome.
And so, Dr. Ted Love, also coming back to that community question, tell me what community means to you?
Well, first of all, I do want to acknowledge what Pam said. Pam, I think you knew my mother in terms of being able to stretch a penny so far. But there was no concept of investing in our family. And I really do wish that my parents had had the benefit of knowing someone like you and what you're doing at Fidelity. That's so important. Chris, for me, community is all about coming together to achieve something much greater than we would achieve as individuals. In fact, if you read Socrates, one of the things that you recognize is the whole benefit of a civilized society is to come together and not focus on yourself, but focus on everyone else. And by doing that, we all benefit extraordinarily. And so community for me is really about us coming together, whether it be a sickle cell community, whether it be an African American community, or whether it be us as a United States community. We should really be coming together to help each other, and by doing so, we will all be extraordinarily more successful.